Yes, hello. I was wondering if you could play that song again.
Tearout
Which one, man?
bass
The one
design.
that goes.
Yes, I'm back. I have been gone for a while, but I felt like recording a little video for you guys, so here I am. And today I wanted to talk about Tearout bass design. Which, if you don't know what Tearout is, then but it's a subgenre of dubstep with very heavy basses, and I have been diving into some sound design stuff, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So here's the video, you know. So let's get into FL Studio, and I'll show you. So in the FL Studio, we see a finished song, but I've turned all of the effects off on everything. Not on everything, on the basses specifically, which they sound like this right now, if you're wondering. Which sounds like ass, you know. It just sounds like poopy, very bad. And then I have this one, which you might think that sounds pretty finished already, but it's not. This is just like it's just a sine wave and oh my god, I'm so stupid, I forget. It's a sine wave and it's a saw wave and it's a white noise. Thank you. Right, I have that one, and then I have this one, which is kind of the same, you know. And then I have this, which sounds cool, but it's also not processed, so there you go. And then I have this, which is just a respace. That's not what I wanted. I want this, which is supposed to be a screech, but you can't hear it because it's unprocessed. So let's talk about the design of these. Oh my god, my computer is tweaking for some reason, and it has been tweaking. It took me like 15 minutes to get this fucking recording started because my Windows keeps crashing. I need a new PC, and this my money is going elsewhere, but I do need a new PC because this one's on its last legs, I think. So let's start with base 1, right? So we have a all phones table, wave table, which is in the vowel ones because they sound kind of cool. And I have a sub, just a sine wave and a square wave as the sub. The sub goes to the main bus. This one goes to nothing. These all just go to the main bus. I forgot I did that. Okay. I don't know how loud this is. Not that loud, cool. Okay, so you can see here I have this sub sine wave with phase distortion on itself, which makes it kind of distorted, because otherwise it just sounds like this. It kind of textures it a bit, you know. And then I have the bend plus minus, which is what this movement is on both of these. And then I have this white noise. And then I have this LFO, which is automating a bunch of shit like wavetable position for this one, which is what this is. The bend plus and minus on both of these, the level to keep it the little bump, you know. The level of the white noise and the level of the sub. Most of the magic in these basses are gonna come from a reverb filter, because if I play it just like this, sounds kind of dry, and then the reverb filter makes it sound cool already without anything. Still very dry, but that's where most of your texturing is coming from. Now this is a bit of a deep dive here. I have a compressor on multiband, which is just to get it louder, right? Then I have an equalizer that whomps it, you know. Then I have a filter. This is a diffuser filter, which makes this happen, which is very weird, but it makes very good textures. If you want to know where you can find diffuser, it's in S2, you can find it here. Put the drive resonance up and the stages, and you can get from here to here. It's very like it gives it a lot of texture, right? So that's like on every single sound in this project there's a diffuser filter. Then I have a high cut on the distortion, which cuts away a lot of the high end that it had and makes it a sort of mid-bass, mid-sound, you know, but I added back the high end, mostly artificial high end from the distortion, so it's sounds more distorted. Then there's delay, which also is just for texture. Then I have a band reject, which is also something that will reoccur in this showcase, because a band reject makes it. You're able, with a band reject, you're able to make very cool like womp sound effects, because it does this, as you see. So if you do it with that, you just automate the width, right? It gives it a total like different kind of voice. Then I have a hyper dimension, which is just to make it wide. Then I have another band reject just to cut this out because it sounded cool. Another compressor to make it louder on multiband. Then a distortion overdrive with this little automation. Then a phaser, which doesn't do much because most of it is turned off, but it makes it sound kind of thick. It gives it slightly different voice, which I felt like was cool. And then I bowed it all together because I use bowed for like glue. It's kind of like glue in your project. It makes sounds like blend together. And that's like the first bass, right? Then I have this thing, which is supposed to be a machine gun bass, but it's not, because it sounds like shit right now. Right now I have this automating the sync, which is what this does. This is what sync does, right? Kind of put some resonance into it, or like there's some not resonance, some attack into it, and it automates the level of the first wavetable. Then I have this one, which automates the chorus pitch, which gives it that attack as well. So you hear a slightly like louder tick. Also another sync and asymmetrical. Asymmetrical is for distortion, clipping, right? To get the sound more textured again. Then I have this one to automate this waveform, which is again a sound wave doing the exact same thing as in the last preset. Then I have noise because it gives it more attack again, because I have it on this one, so it's a little tick. Then with the filter on, the reverb filter, again we get this, which already sounds cool again. Let me see what this does, right? This one goes to bus 1, this one goes to bus 2. So let's talk about bus 2 first, because that's kind of the bass part of it, and this is just the attack part of it. So bus 2 has a compressor on multiband again, to make it louder. Then a filter that is a band reject again. Doesn't do much, but it's there, so congratulations. Another diffuser, a bowed to glue everything together, a filter with band reject again, an equalizer to make it womp, mostly in the low mids, you can't really hear it. Then I have a compressor to make it loud again. Then I have the hyper dimension to make it wide. And I have a distortion at the end, just a tube distortion. Right, so that's that, without this. Right, and then I have this. The noise also goes to both buses, nice. So then I have a compressor on the attack, this little thing, right? Then I have a distortion, which is just the normal tube drive again. An equalizer that removes some of the mids here, the low mids. Another diffuser for texture, which already does a shitload to this sound specifically, because that changes up the whole sound for me, which is what this kind of created the sound, this diffuser. Then I added a compressor to compress it backwards a bit. Then a delay to give it that robotic kind of tail. Can't really hear it, but it's there. Then I have another filter and a band reject up here, which added even more transient, and then another compressor. And then together we have this. The main one has a compressor for, again, compressing everything together. Then another diffuser, which again made the whole sound sound thicker and bigger and better. Then a hyperdimension to make everything wide. Then another compressor to compress everything together. Then an overdrive distortion to make everything louder and more fucked, basically. And then a bode to glue everything together. Right, so then we have a sub bass, which is literally just a sine wave with white noise with distortion, and that's it, and it sounds like this. Oh yeah, I did automate the chorus pitch to give it a transient, right? And then I have this. This is the most interesting sound in my opinion, right? It sounds very goofy, but it's an allophones table, which is in voices, vowel down here. And I put bend on it, which is what this is. Which is not even automated. It's the sync that's automated. Nice. So the sync is like kind of doubling the wavetable in a way. And that's what that... I can't talk. That's what that does. And that's all the automation there is, apart from the level on this thing. And probably in the effects tab, right? The filter does this to it. Which already sounds cool, you know, again. Then I don't have any buses here, so that's cool. I have a compressor. I always start with a compressor. Then obviously a diffuser filter. Then a distortion, same as like the first sound on the low end. That is kinda, automated. Then the equalizer to bring back the high end with artificial distorted high end. Then a reverb. A very short reverb with very small, very cool, nice. And then an equalizer to remove the lows, and a distortion, just a general tube distortion. And then we get a filter, a band reject, which is automated on the width right here. And a hyperdimension to make it wide. And another compressor. Now if you put everything together, it's still gonna sound like shit. So you might be asking yourself, why the fuck am I watching this tutorial? This guy is fucking stupid and he can't do shit. Well, everything is now in the post-processing, right? So I have this is the sound here. That does that. Which has this. Which looks ridiculous and it hurts my ears when I put it really loud, but it's blended in with the rest of the sounds later on. Then I have this. Which is only, this is kind of weird because I decided I didn't like the high end later on in the track, so I put this on there to remove the fuzziness. Then I have this, which this is what the EQ looks like for some reason. That's what that does. And then we have this, which is the growl, which I'm going to select real quick so I can listen to it like a normal person. OTT. Pretty like a lot of OTT. Then a soundgodizer, which is on A, and then about 25%, exactly 25% actually. Then an EQ to boost low mids. Then a wave shaper to ruin it. And then an EQ to remove the lows. Right, now it's still gonna sound like shit. You know. Why does it sound like shit? Because I have Serum 2 effects on the bus. This is the bus, right? And Serum 2 has Bode, which I've been using for throughout this for gluing my sounds together, which sounds like this together. But now if I add this EQ here, it's already gonna sound better. And now I distort the absolute shit out of it, and then it sounds sick. Right? So we have that. Then I have an imager to make it slightly less wide, because it's extremely wide, and an OTT because I can. And now it sounds like this. Right, so that's on now, right? I'm gonna turn off the effects on that. I have more basses. I have this thing, which I showed you at the start. That's very nice. Which is actually not linked to the bus, but it's just a sound wave with a saw wave and some white noise. Now it gets slightly more complex because this thing is on hertz instead of BPM, so it doesn't follow the like the 1.4 or the 1.8 tempo you normally have. You can select it here, and then I have this LFO here, which you have to go into the matrix, select the LFO that you just had, LFO2, right, and then link it to LFO1 rate. So this is where it starts, this is where it ends. The lower it goes, the slower the rate goes. You can see it kind of right here, you can kind of see it. That's what this does, right? LFO3 is something else, I don't know what that means. But that's how I did that, right? You go to the matrix, you select your LFO, you push it to a side, probably to the right, because you want to go with it going down. If you want it going up, you put it to the left. I think that's how it works. And then you link it to LFO1 rate, and you can also put it to an aux source if you want, so like a macro, like macro 1. So now it's off. And then it's on. For effects, I have bus 1, which is only for... Let's figure it out. Bus 1 is for the saw wave. So on bus 1 I have a compressor, I have a filter that is a diffuser, a band reject that is automated to this thing, a distortion, a tube distortion, very standard distortion, a compressor, multi-band, and a hyperdimension to make it wide. And that's what that does. I'll go through it more slowly actually. So we have the compressor right here, which does this, and then this filter is already gonna make it sound sick as fuck. That's what that does. Diffuser filter is king. Diffuser filter is god. Diffuser filter is mommy. Diffuser filter is life, you know. For dubstep, that thing is actually like insanely powerful to do that kind of stuff. Now I have this filter, which makes it, which opens it up slightly in the low and high end. So you go to like this. You see it go, right? And then I have a distortion, which is just tube, and then a compressor, and then the hyperdimension to make it wide. And that's how I did that, right? Then I have, yes, I have this, which is just another simple, I don't know where this is from. This is a digital wavetable. It looked cool to me and it sounded cool, so I added it. And then sine wave. This is linked to the wavetable position. This thing is linked to the levels of everything. So white noise, sine wave, this weird ass wavetable. Any weird wavetable works, you can find most of them in vowel or spectral. There's monster wavetables, which are really cool. Now, if I add the reverb filter, obviously, it already sounds weird, you know. So, bus 1 is for this wavetable. So, we have a compressor. We have an equalizer to remove low end. We have the mommy diffuser filter. We have the band reject filter. And we have the distortion. Very nice. Now we have the main filter. There's no widening on this. I need to fix that. There is a distortion on tube distortion to distort it together. You know, you kind of get that weird that. So we have that. I'm gonna add, yes, a hyperdimension. Nice. So that's that sound, which is linked to this. So that's what it sounds like with all these effects on it. Next up is this thing. Nice. I'm gonna keep doing this the whole tutorial. Okay, nice. This is like a little background screech for the second half of the first drop, or like the second 25% of the first drop. I don't know, but this is a little screech that I made. So we have a saw wave, which has 16 voices, and there's no detune. But over the time that it plays, it's gonna go up in detune by the this thing. The LFO2 is linked to the detune amount. It's supposed to play fully. Right, that's like what that screech sound effect. That's what makes that screech sound effect. This thing is linked to the chorus pitch, so it's this weird like up and down. That's that. And then I also have this, which is the pitch, which you can also put in the matrix. You can go LFO3 and then main tuning and then like draw in the pitch bend. Then you have LFO4, which is just fit like the level. Then I have the filter, the reverb filter, which also is like has this link to the mix, this LFO. Okay, nice. Now we have this distortion, this compressor on multiband, and a hyperdimension to make it wide. And I'm pretty sure this, yeah, it is. It is linked to that. Nice. So that's that. That's kind of that sound, right? And then I have this epic ass sound, which is gonna be loud as fuck. So here you go. I did it again. And this is supposed to also be a screech, which it has a this thing, same as the last sound, but it's for this screech. So there's a sub bass in there and a slightly asymmetrical sub bass. So it's like it's kind of squished together, so it has more voices. It is like it has more harmonies. So it's slightly distorted, and then white noise to make it kind of vibrate. So that's that. There is a pitch bend, just like the last one. You can go in the matrix, go LFO2, slide this to the right, do main tuning, put it on bipolar, and then link it to macro 1 so you can turn it off. Right, that's how that works. Now in FX, I have a bus 1. Anything on bus 2? No, at bus 1. Which one is on bus 1? Oh yeah, this one goes out directly, by the way. This sub bass goes out directly instead of going through the bus inside of serum. It goes, it comes out dry out of serum. So this thing is on bus 1, which it has an equalizer to remove lows and a literally a hyperdimension to make it wide, and that's it. Oh yeah, reverb filter. There's a reverb filter on this one, guys. Right, so that's what that sounds like. Then I have a compressor. Makes it louder. Then I have a distortion to smoosh everything together like this. And then obviously the diffuser filter, the big godly diffuser filter, which sounds like this. And now if I run it through all these effects, it sounds like this. And it sounds way more fucked, but that's kind of the point, right? And that's all there is. I have a slight variation on the machine gun bass, which sounds like this. So the only difference is I made everything shorter, so it's slightly more gun-ish, and then I added, oh no, I added all these back in there, you know, I added this back in there, and I added all, these are all the same as the first machine gun bass. So this is what that sounds like. Yeah, so that's kind of like the idea. The big thing you have to take from this is like diffuser filter is like amazing. Reverb filter makes everything like sound kind of weird, and it works very well for processing, like pre-processing almost, and then running it through the effects in Serum. And then all you need to do is do like a band reject and kind of automate the frequencies that you want to accentuate. And after you've done that, all you need to do is lock all the automation clips in your song, right? And then you can, I hope that's all of them, yes. They can make a drum pattern, and this is a very simple task because it's dubstep, which means it's literally just this. Yeah, and then you add a ride in there like this. Add some like vocal fills in there, so like this thing. Right, and that's all you need to do. Okay, let's talk about mastering. Mastering is kind of, in my opinion, it's up to interpretation. My song sounds like ass without mastering. Every single song I make sounds like shit. Everything's peaking very loud, as you see. So I'll show you my process of mastering real quick. I have an OTT, an Endless Smile, which is just for the build-up, because this is what it does. It makes everything... like, it makes everything turn into a riser, basically. Then an OTT to kind of bring everything back in volume and everything and kind of compress it together, which now it sounds like this. Soundgoodizer is a very big one, because Soundgoodizer makes everything kind of sound thick as fuck. So here's what that sounds like. Right, it makes it sound very thick. Then I have very small adjustments in the EQ to boost lows and boost some mid-highs, which sounds like this. Then Lion Master, which I don't even know what it does, because I just bought a bunch of plugins and I thought it was cool and it looked cool, and I was like, I'm gonna just throw this on there, which I don't know if it makes a big difference, but here's without. And here's with. It did make everything kind of thicker and better. Then another EQ to boost some highs, like just slightly. Waves doesn't matter. Then a wave shaper to clip everything to hell, right? And a maximizer. And then if you do all of that, you should have a song that's about -4 LUFS or some shit. -5. You know, so if you do all of that correctly, you can make a little build up and a little intro, add some saw vocals from Jigsaw and shit, and add a little break. If you do all of that, you put a little bit of, you know, make a little bit of a flow that is satisfying to listen to, you should end up with something like this. this. So I hope everybody had something to everybody learned something, you know. Hope everybody learned something, and I hope this was useful to some of you that want to produce something like this, especially in Serum 2, because I've just learned this kind of stuff by browsing the internet about these filters and stuff. But yes, so this was the tutorial. Have a great night. It's 3 AM, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.